and this is the Strymon Deco. This demo is going to look a little different than most of mine. For one, the sun is shining directly in my face, and I can't seem to escape it. Two, my roommate had an accident, and so instead of trying to play live guitar while he tries to sleep, I'm just going to talk you through this thing. I am on my porch right on Sunset Boulevard, where I spend most of my time anyway, so hopefully sunset won't be too loud, and now you get to see what my life is like. If I were smoking a pipe and listening to a podcast, it'd be just like you knew how my life goes. Anyway, Deco, tape saturation and double tracker. You've got a couple of soft switches. Over here is your tape saturation side. Over here is your double tracker side. Tape saturation adds a nice compression, sustain, boost. It's sort of a rich, slick quality. Think about David Gilmour's leads. That's what tape saturation sounds like to me, or at least that's what I want it to sound like. And I can get a lot of that out of this. I can't play like Gilmour, that's not what I'm saying, but that to me, more than trying to pair like a fuzz and a compressor pedal to try and get that tone, tape saturation nails it. Anything before noon is really felt more than heard. Anything past noon and you start to get a little bit of a natural gain, you get way over here and it adds a lot of gain for like, not a lot as far as like a dirt pedal, but for what this does, to like a rhythm track, something like that. It's a little much for lead. I think you'd probably want to back it off some. But all the way over, and kind of depending on where your volume's set, you can also get like a sort of through zero flange with this pedal, and that's really where having this all the way dialed sounds great, is it really brings out that movement in the flange. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Saturation knob, soft switch, volume. Okay, this is where things get complicated, the double tracker. Soft switch, you've got a type switch here. All that does is it sort of adjusts the way the bottom end responds and the phasing. The blend, essentially you've got a record deck and a lag deck, and this just depends on where they're set. Do you want the lag deck in front of the record deck, or at least to sort of hit before the record deck? Do you want the lag deck to be sort of minimalized, to be sort of echoey in the back, or do you want them straight up so you can get sort of a wash kind of sound? Lag, over here, this is where you get flange. Over here, all the way over, is where you get sort of echoey leads, and man, it sounds great. It adds like this sort of round reverb quality, in addition to just having a really great tape echo sound. It's great. Let me be clear, even though this is technically sort of a tape delay of sorts, it is not a delay pedal. You can get 2-3 repeats at most, depending on your settings. This is not going to replace your L cap. It sounds really great for what it is. I just don't want someone to rush out and buy it and then, you know, be mad at me because they can't get some sort of extended oscillation or something. Wobble tape has really interesting qualities in its imperfections, and you can sort of mimic that with this. The type, as I said, you can sort of invert the phase. You can sort of, it has to do with the phase and the bottom end, according to Strymon. I'm assuming they know more about this than I do. And probably my favorite thing on this is you can set this. I like to have it all the way over on the tape echo leads, but then you can just hold the bypass switch down and it'll do the flange. And you can set how deep or how long the flange is, so you can hold this down and get a through zero flange as long as you hold it down. I like it so much, I'm selling my flange pedal. Not that I use a lot of flange anymore, but I keep one around because I used to love it when I was a kid. So anyway, but this is great. This is kind of nice. Usually they're all hooked up. I can't show you everything. Let's see if we can get a good look there. Okay, center negative 9 volt. You've got a expression, you've got input, you've got left out, and you've got right out. On all Strymon pedals, you'd use the input and the left out if you're just doing mono, right out if you're doing stereo. If you're using the stereo function on this, it has a function where you can kind of hold both switches down and with one hand, and dial the lag to kind of where you want it to set the flange, or you can set this blend knob with both of those held down, and you can get stereo wide mode. So if I remember correctly, anything past noon is anything past noon sends to both decks. So your lag deck will go, or sends to both amps. So your lag deck will go to one amp, and your record deck will go to the other amp. So you can get, and I balance them out. I like them to be pretty equal in volume, but you can get this really sort of lush wash of delay. Anyway, this is a great little pedal. Strymon doesn't make bad pedals. It just depends if you need that pedal. And part of the reason why I wanted to show this pedal off is because I could see a lot of people looking at it and not really knowing what to do with it, because it's sort of odd. But it's really designed to mimic sort of a weird little characteristic that's kind of disappeared from our music. We don't record on tape anymore. We've got flange pedals. We don't have to manipulate the tape for flange. We've got really fancy delay pedals that mimic echoplexes. We don't really have to manipulate the record decks to get a little bit of bounce in or a classic slapback. But this thing sort of does all of those little things that are missing really, really well. And it also has tape saturation that, I mean, it just sounds great. It feels great. You can sort of set it and use it as an always on, if that's your thing. I tend to like it a little more drastic, but more subtle players, better players, would probably sort of, I guarantee you'd probably set it over in this area, turn it on, and just add like a little bit of depth. Another thing you can do, I didn't think about it, you can set these the heads up to where they're running together. I think it's called magnetic duplication, or magnetic, anyway. You can thicken your tone up by adding just a tiny touch of delay, but they're in sync, so they're not, but it's not a slapback either. It just widens your signal a bit. You can get a through zero flange. You can get a bit of tape delay out of this. It's really a fun pedal. It is going on my board, and it is staying there. I think you should check it out. Thanks for watching.